In 2013, you dreamt of being on Masterchef.
Yes.
And 10 years later, it's Veeba presents Masterchef.
Yes. Thank you.
Walk me through the entire life journey from tomato to ketchup. Let's talk about the unit cost also.
Whoa! थोड़े टाइम पहले मैं ऐसी pitches Shark Tank पे सुन रहा था, मैं दे रहा हूँ. So you better invest.
Okay, so when you started out, why did you choose the B2B route and not the B2C route?
In India, everything is distribution.
100%.
Everything.
Yeah.
Distribution अगर आप नहीं करना जानते तो आप बड़ी consumer company नहीं बना सकते.
You obviously cracked this Domino deal. To even get a meeting of that scale, how did you make this happen?
I'll tell you a story. I've never shared this with anyone ever. Our number one city is Delhi. Number one state is Maharashtra. Number one region is South India. I am only 43. I look 50. मैं ना distribution से पहले ना गंजा था ना grey था. Distribution does that to you. My secret was at that time, I'm going to say something really unpopular. Passion is a bit overrated at times. Young founders, they make such amazing websites and amazing Instagram pages and amazing apps. But that is not enough, you know.
When is the right time to raise? When did you raise? When should one typically raise?
Unpopular opinion, but fundraising should not be celebrated. अगर मैं यूनिकॉर्न हूँ, आपकी सेहत पे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? कुछ नहीं, मैं आपको तो पैसे आके दूंगा नहीं. I got to work with the legend SRK for 2-3 days and I got lessons for a lifetime.
Share some lessons with us then.
We did a huge marketing splash. Diljit Dosanjh was at the launch. Latent में we did a good quality talent will never work for a always hustling entrepreneur. It is equally important to hustle from 0 to 150, let's say 200 crores, but then stop hustling and be a organized founder where talent comes, thrives and runs the organization along with you. Every founder wants to be on Shark Tank, and those who say they don't want to be on Shark Tank are lying.
Do you see a spike in sales during Shark Tank season?
Econ, we saw a significant spike.
How much? One piece of advice would you give to someone who considers themselves a failed entrepreneur?
Ooh, that's a heavy question.
So now Viraj has been blindfolded and we are not kidnapping him. He's just in the middle of a very competitive game. Welcome to Humans of Bombay, Viraj.
Thank you for having me, Karishma.
It's been a while. We've been back and forth with dates and it finally worked out.
Yeah, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm a fan. I keep seeing your podcast and here I am.
No, I'm a fan and I'm so excited to ask all these questions because it's just an interesting conversation. I think we'll do it differently.
Right,
So I'm going to start with a question that's one of my favorite topics, but it begins with your story. In 2013, you dreamt of being on Masterchef.
Yes.
And 10 years later, it's not Amul presents Masterchef, it's Veeba presents Masterchef.
Thank God, first of all.
So, I'm going to ask you a rather different question on an entrepreneurship level, which most entrepreneurs don't get asked on these type of podcasts. But was it manifestation?
See, every day. I believe in meditation and manifestation every day, but I do not bother God or the powers that run this universe by manifesting about Masterchef. You know, that's a dream come true and I can't be thankful to God enough, but I manifest bigger things, to be honest. And honestly, I have to say this, that everybody involved, I mean Sony and Endemol, everybody was really kind to Veeba and it was a dream come true for me. I mean, you can't imagine 2013, it's like a memory from yesterday. You know, I was seeing Masterchef and I was I was thinking to myself or telling my wife that I know how to cook, I should go there and maybe my Masterchef jeet jaun.
Yeah.
And from there to being on the stage and presenting Masterchef to the country was wow.
Yeah. It seemed like a full circle moment.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so we'll start at the beginning of that circle.
Okay.
I know you've spoken so much about, the formative years of Veeba and different partnerships that kind of made you reach where you are today.
Right.
But we'll start with the basics, right? Let's break it down to the core. Let's start with the name. For example, a lot of people spend a lot of time wondering what should I name my business or what should I name my product line, for example. And yours is particularly special.
Yes.
So A, what's the story behind it? And B, what should people keep in mind while wanting to start a business and figure out what's that name?
See, in my case, Veeba is my mom's name. I get a lot of my work ethic from my mom, and it was a son's way of saying thank you to his mother. But the way to for any founder to name this company, simple, right? Easy to pronounce, easy to say. It should not be a tongue twister. There shouldn't be too many syllables at the same time. It shouldn't be just one syllable. But the idea is, that acronym KISS. Keep it simple, silly. So just keep it simple as. Imagine some of our best names are so simple, right? Bajaj, Dabur, Lux, Tata. I mean, Tata, what a name.
Yeah.
So just keep it simple.
Okay. And like consumable in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about people who are like, okay, I want to make it different, right? Because what name really hasn't been taken? At this stage, everybody's domains are blocked.
So, the thing is, if your name is a bit complicated, make sure your font is not.
What about names like Zepto and Zomato, which now have become like cult, right? Like I want to build a company like Zepto. The name in itself is like, there's something about it that speaks of...
It's got gravitas. Right?
Yeah, and it feels like it's fast. For some reason, it reminds me of Zip almost, like it's really quick.
I'm sure the Zepto guys, and they're both geniuses, so I'm sure they did think of Zepto and Zip. In fact, that also came to me. I guess, I don't know the story behind Zepto, but Zepto and Zip came to me also. And Zomato, if you look at it, it's the easiest word. It's a tomato done in a Gen Z kind of a way, Zomato.
Okay. What about identifying market gaps? You came back to start this because you saw a gap, right? When you traveled abroad, there are a bunch of hot sauces available. I collect them. I'm an avid collector. Everywhere I go.
Now please only collect Veeba, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm one of those. Like, there's something new and local and it's spicy. I have to have it. And up until recently, I don't think that was very much a trend in India. But now it is.
Yes.
So how did you identify that gap? And how can people watching figure out, okay, there's a space here and let me do something about it?
So first I'll come to 2025 and then I'll go back. So not as the founder of Veeba, but as an Indian, I'm so proud of this story. On our last holiday to US, we had gone to a Trader Joe's and a Walmart. And every time I go to a department store outside the country, I come back with 5 bags full of sauces. And my wife is always angry with me that ek suitcase kharidna padega because there's no space. Karishma, I can't tell you, I was so proud. I went there and I came back with not even one bottle of sauce because Veeba was ahead of Trader Joe's. Is like the most innovative sauce company or food product company of US. I mean, department store, but they do a lot of innovation. Veeba had more variety than Trader Joe's and Walmart, and I felt so proud that finally, my wife was happy, no sauces to carry back, but I was just so proud that now we are leading the world in sauce innovation.
But the P0 criteria was that your wife was happy. Let's just put it in order.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, fun fact, VRB, the holding company is Viraj Bahl, VRB.
Okay.
So I named the company after her mother-in-law. So now she owns VRB owns Veeba.
Yeah.
So now she owns her mother-in-law. So,
so she's really happy.
Really happy, yeah.
Wow. I think there's so much more than entrepreneurship one can learn from you. Because
marriage counseling. Right?
Yeah.
But to answer your question, so when I was running my chain of restaurants, and at that time, this is 2009 to 2013, mayonnaise, tomato ketchup, hot and sweet sauce, and little bit of mustard. That was basically what was available. So I, for the restaurants, I needed more sauces like chipotle and some harissa, and it wasn't available. So tandoori mayonnaise, I remember thinking ki kash koi, because I used to make tandoori mayonnaise for my product, buy mayonnaise from somewhere, add some spices and so on. So I thought if it is my need, it might be the need of others. So that is how the whole idea of coming back and saying let's get into sauces.
And how can people identify this gap? Like today, right? It seems like almost everything in every industry is pretty solved for. But it's tough to identify a gap. And once it's identified, then you're like, it's a no-brainer. Why wasn't it there before?
But you imagine if I'm sitting in Karishma's chair, you have to be really daft to say, आज मैं sauces बनाता हूँ जाके. It is a bizarre idea. Today when I think back and say, okay, I want to do, ideally if I had to do sauces, I should have done ketchup and mayonnaise and not Southwest Chipotle, sweet onion, mint mayonnaise. We entered ketchup and mayonnaise much later when we thought we are of that size that we can take on the
The competition,
honorable
yeah.
incumbents. So it started off with fringe sauces, not even sauces. So I think every founder needs to be a bit stupid to do something which no one else is doing. So that itself is a gap because you're thinking stupid and then you do something like that. But more than that, I think a lot of see, I have to be very categorical. I did not find a gap. I went into a hyper competitive. Some of the world's largest names are our competition. I
Yeah.
went into a hyper competitive market. Our single, if I look back, and again, it wasn't planned, it is all hindsight. And when I look back, our single reason of success should be, or could be, that we put the consumer first. We are not cheaper than our honorable opposition. We are always slightly more expensive, but just the promise of giving the best quality, best tasting sauces and healthier than what is available in the market out to the consumer. And just that promise, delivering it day in, day out. And I think that is what. So it was not so much a gap, to answer your small question in a very long way. It was not so much a gap, but it was more execution that made this happen for us.
But also risk, because the initial capital came from, I believe, selling your house.
Yes.
So talk to me about risk appetite. When you should take it, when you shouldn't take it.
See, the thing is, this story has been really made filmy. It's not that filmy, and it wasn't a hero story. It was a story of naivety at best, and the circumstances of India. There was no fundraising and consumer company having there. I'll take you a bit to my background. I come from I was born, not come. I was born into a middle class kind of a household, and when I decided, or I understood entrepreneurship, after Merchant Navy, I did a little bit of work with my father, and as I said, that's not my story. That's their story, and they did what they did. And in the 25-year journey of that company, I was there for a couple of years. And when I realized I am also entrepreneurial, I started, I wanted to start a chain of restaurants. And that chain of restaurants, again, amazing product, Karishma, really good product. Our chain looked like McDonald's or KFC, but Indian food. Ahead of its time, really good product. And I am a product guy, but it did not do well. So 4.5 years later, I had lost all my money. And, having lost all your money, my wife was really supportive. And I went back, out of all my savings in life, I had put half the money in a house and half the money in in the restaurant business. The restaurant business became zero, and I went back to my wife saying, Ridhima, that I think we should sell this house because I want to do this. And she was really supportive, and we kind of went ahead, sold the house, and did that. Now, it's a very important part of my life which I want to share with you, which I've not really, I wear it as a huge badge of honor, Karishma, that I have never taken money from my parents to run Veeba. I, sold the house and all of that. But I had one thing which not many founders have. I'm sure some founders do. I had a something like an insurance policy that if I take the risk, even if I've sold my house and I've put all the money into Veeba, and if I had this slight comfort that if everything goes to shit, my parents have a very nice house to live in. I will eat the best food, stay in a very good house. My kids will go to the best school. So I had that parachute which my parents' wealth provided me. 99.9 consumer founders, everybody does third-party manufacturing. We put plants, we put large-scale plants. I think our large plant is also probably India's largest sauce manufacturing plant.
Wow.
So it is so silly, right? You sell the house and you put up a plant the next day. Forget about analyzing and thinking about stuff for a month or two. So, and somewhere in my psyche, and when we keep talking, you'll realize this, I'm a really proud Indian. Ye factory is mera garur hai.
Yeah.
And the plants are actually world class. I'm so proud that an Indian company has one of the best plants in the world.
How does one find that insane calling or passion that okay, today I'm selling my house, even if it's not selling your house, right? For people who are watching,
Let's say for people who are watching, please don't sell your house.
okay, let's put
not
out
be
that disclaimer.
daft.
Yeah.
With all my knowledge today, I would not have done it.
Okay, so
Okay, so I just want to make it very clear.
assume that it's a good chunk of your savings.
Yes.
Okay,
Your entire savings.
Yeah, entire savings.
Right.
And then going and the next day putting it into a plant.
Right.
There has to be something in you which said that, okay, this is the right thing to do. Or there is something that pushed you or propelled you in that way, that at least this is feeling right, I'm assuming, because it's why you did it. My first question is, how do you recognize that feeling? Because feelings can be very wrong and confusing as well.
Can I be brutally honest? And this is going to shock you, my answer. And I realize because it's a very weird thing to do, right? You get into a hyper competitive market, sell your house and buy a plant the next day. I think it has, and that's why I say in my journey, God has played a really big role, and God has been so kind to me because I think when I look back, and today I take mental health very seriously. Having failed in the restaurant business, and restaurant business failure, this is pre-Zomato and pre-Swiggy. The failure is very public. If your restaurants are empty, everyone knows. I think that kind of got to my mental health in a way that I failed so badly, so publicly, that I wanted to prove to the world and to myself that I can do it. That kind of forced me to take certain steps which I normally would not have taken, and then worked my off to deliver, because I had nothing left and I had too much pride to go to my parents to ask for money. So I just worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. I mean, imagine this, 2013, it's going to sound trivial, but 2013 to 2019, not even one holiday.
Why is that trivial? That's not trivial at all.
I mean, I'm saying that today I'm successful and I'm talking about holiday nili bichara.
So it's a privilege problem.
Yeah. But I will not lie, the first 3-4 years were very difficult. I went through an extreme case of belt tightening. Everything that you can associate with the financial tightness was felt by me, and but it all paid off really well, really well.
Break it down for me. What kind of financial tightness, right? Like what? Because I want people.
See, the worst thing I will not say because it is too personal and too this thing for me. I mean, it will not make for good optics on your show. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
Because it was very tough, firstly. But other than that, realizing that even if the friends are going out for a fancy meal, we would find an excuse to say no. Again, you have to understand, by then I had shifted into my parents' house. I stayed there for 3-4 years because wo to tha nahi. And so home was looked after. I was very comfortable from a home point of view. But anything outside, my parents would obviously not give me ghar ke khane ka bill, right?
Yeah.
But anything outside of that was a challenge.
It was a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And very silly things. If a friend of mine has bought a new car, and he's sharing with me that he's bought a new car, I was thinking कि मेरे को सुना रहा है कि मैं नहीं ले सकता. So I think that failure of that restaurant business kind of played that. None of my friends were ever doing that.
Yeah, it was probably not with a malintent, but again, subconsciously it plays in your mind, given the history.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that.
Those 5 6, and then when we started doing well, when we entered retail in 2016, I do not know what happened. The consumer gave us so much love. So much love that I can't tell you. I mean, more fridges in India have 2 Veeba bottles than 1. Which company will not,
I use Veeba.
Thank
you.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
No, I use Veeba.
Yeah.
Third question I have is, on this front, the role of family and support.
I'm sorry to ask, are you married?
No, I'm not married yet.
So when you get married, you will realize, and if you get married, you will realize that the spouse plays a very, very important role in anyone's journey, and a man, woman, either way. I have very strong views on this, so this will be coming very, monologue kind of a thing. Founders get a lot of, how do I say, glory. But you can't imagine how important role the family plays, because you know the founder, like you, like what a beautiful office, right? But you're always smiling in office just like this. You are leading from the front. You are, always taking decisions. You are not allowed to be cranky, hangry, irritable, because you have to. People are, if they're coming to your cabin, that means there's a problem which needs to be solved. You cannot say, "Yaar, abhi to bahut bhook lag rahi hai, main nahi," you have to solve. But the person that goes back home, in my case, the irritating, hungry, angry person who goes back home, my family has to deal with that person. So if there is no support from the family, I don't think the founder can do. And if you're not married, your parents, there needs to be some sort of support, because entrepreneurship is, you know it as well as I do, it's not easy. It takes everything out of you, and it is not 1 month or 2 months or 6 months of hard work. It is not hard work, heartache. It is 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, And if you get a nagging / angry spouse who's, not happy with what you're doing and always complaining that why you always tired, why you always, irritable, then something will find a balance, right? Either work will have to take a step back, or something will. I'm बहुत heavy बातें कर रहा हूँ for some reason. I don't know.
Drink
what's
one
happening.
more sip of the coffee, please. So many times people have come here and said, I feel like I'm in therapy, Karishma.
Yeah, actually.
It's like, yeah, good, free therapy session. Let's talk about another, not controversial, but on the fence or debated topic, which is finances between partners.
Right.
Somehow, the role of a man is provider. I will provide for the family. It's my job to look after it. And then there are people who are of the opinion, and also women who are of the opinion, that the woman plays a role in the house.
Yeah.
Like in your case, it was your wife who said that, okay, I will stand by you while XYZ is happening in your life.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on these kind of softer nuances that could come up in the life of an entrepreneur?
And they do, right? But my opinion is very strongly that it's a partnership. It's so strong. I have, in that sense, in your question's sense, I am the earning member of the family. But it is genuinely a partnership. In our house, at least, there is no concept of my money or her money. It's our money. Everything is our money. If I have a bank account, she's also signatory. If there's a credit card, we both have the same account linked to the credit card. Everything is, it'll be a very sad day for me if my wife calls me up and says, "मैं ये खरीद लूँ."
Yeah.
I have lost a battle somewhere there. Sometimes I do tell her कि मैं retire करना चाहता हूँ, तुम काम कर लो, but I know I don't see that happening. But I will be a very happy,
Stay at home
dad.
Yeah.
I would love it. मैं सुबह से रात तक, जब तक बच्चे स्कूल में होंगे, मैं टीवी देखूंगा, and then I'll go to pick them up from school, and then I'll spend the evenings with them.
Yeah.
मजा आ जाएगा.
That's a refreshing opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this factory that you set up, and what it's evolved to, what it's grown to, what it was like, what actually goes into the factory of building a product like Veeba.
So the plants. See, again, you have to understand plants. I'll keep on talking, and then you'll have to tell me to shut up, because I just keep talking. The plants are amazing. After we end this, I'll show you some pictures also. But the plants are like, the floor is color coded. Green means ambient, red means hot, blue means cold. The flooring systems are made in such a way that they're antifungal, antibacterial. The whole 500,000 square feet is raised to a platform, which means no pest can, because no snake can vertically climb, so no pest can come in. मुझसे ना किसी ने पूछा था कि आपकी फैक्ट्री में छिपकली हो सकती है क्या? And I was saying, forget chipkali. If a fly enters the plant, that will be a big episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it'll be reported all the way up to me that a fly was found here, and so in a food where we are making a few 100 tons a day, imagine no fly, no. Think of it as an operation theater, and it is. You dress up like a operation procedure. You're wearing lab clothes, and you're wearing mask and headgear and all of that. Because food safety is non-negotiable. Food safety is expensive. Food safety is non-negotiable, and I don't even know हम कितना sanitizer खरीदते होंगे, but the amount of sanitizer we buy must be in excess of 1 crore or something like that.
Really?
So because
For a crore in how much time?
in a quarter, I would say.
Really?
Because
Okay.
we are always sanitizing, right? Because someone goes out of and 1,000 people working in one place. So the movement in and out of the plant is high. Every time you have to sanitize your feet, your shoes, your hands, wash your hands. So food safety is expensive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is no compromise. And Karishma, it's very simple. We have one food safety policy we have a very robust food safety system, but the policy is simple. Veeba will not make anything which Viraj cannot give to Rajveer and Ranveer, my two sons. And we made this rule when they were 6 and 3. So if I can't give it to my kids, I have no business giving it to anyone
Anybody's
else's
kids,
kids.
yeah.
And that is the basic thing. So I sleep easy at night knowing that our quality standards are of that level that obviously I'll not give my children a bhoot jhulakia sauce. I'm not stupid, but anything else. Because we make things like tomato ketchup, we make things like chocolate sauce, pizza sauce, which is consumed by kids. And taste is grey. You might like the taste, I might not like the taste. Food science is not grey. Microbiology is not grey. It's black and white. Science is black and white. So if the product is food safe, you might one day say, Viraj, मेरे को ये खा के मजा नहीं आया. But food safety में तो there is no compromise, right? So you cannot say कि इसमें microbes हैं. That can be tested in a lab.
Correct.
So that is where we play. I am very aware of the fact that some products will not be liked by a certain set of consumers. And मैंने इतने प्यार से 2 products launch किए थे. I thought they're the best products and they'll shake the country. A chili strawberry sauce and an orange sesame sauce. They were salad dressings. I loved them. I just loved them. But market ने ऐसी चपेड़ मारी कि वो बिके ही नहीं. So नहीं बिके तो नहीं बिके, but that's the thing. But nobody could have said there's something wrong microbially in them,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Or scientifically in them.
Yeah.
So when we think of a food company or a food brand, you have to separate taste from science. Taste, we make the best tasting sauces. I have done blind tasting in Singapore and Europe with our products and the biggest names in the world. I'm so proud to report that 9 out of 10 times in a blind taste, Veeba comes out on top.
Wow.
So why can't an Indian company make the best sauces? It pains me. It just pains me. It took a Veeba 75 years after independence to give India its first preservative-free tomato ketchup. यूरोप और यूएस के बच्चों को अगर प्रेजर्वेटिव फ्री केचप मिलती है, हमारे बच्चे इन्फीरियर नहीं है बाकी बच्चों से. सो व्हाई कांट वी give our kids a preservative free ketchup?
Walk me through the entire life journey from raw material to
From a tomato to a ketchup.
from a tomato to a ketchup, or what are the ingredients that go into some of the other things, other sauces that are there? This
So
bhul bhulaiya sauce, for example, if that's the name.
भूल भुलैया नहीं, भूत जुलकिया.
Oh,
भूत जुलकिया, it's a northeast India का pepper.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
भूत जुलकिया.
Okay.
But we make 2 kinds of sauces. One is emulsion and one is ketchup or sauces. So ketchups are usually tomato based and mayonnaise is a oil based product. So first I'll explain you how the plant works. In the plant, it's one place we dump all the bottles. Okay, the bottles come from a plant. We only use virgin plastic and the bottles come, we dump them into a big, it's called a hopper, big hopper. We just dump the bottles. So then the bottles get straightened up, go into a conveyor. These are brand new bottles, but still they're washed. So there's a robo conveyor which comes. It's a very cute looking thing. It holds it like this. Then the water is sprayed from the bottom.
Yeah.
And then it just shakes the water and dries the water. Then fresh air is blown through them to remove any moisture.
Yeah.
Then it goes up and straightens up like that, and 6 hands come and fill the sauce in it. The robos move upward while filling the sauce. So you fill the sauce, then it goes, then a robo comes and puts the caps, then it passes, and there's a current passes which seals, because the cap already has a seal. The current passes and makes the seal stick to the bottle. Then it goes further. 2 hands will come. They're not hands, they're like conveyors.
Yeah.
They will put the label and then it will go into the warehouse for packaging.
Wow. How long does this process take?
So this process would take, I would say, 65 bottles 65 to 75 bottles per minute.
Wow.
And before this is the manufacturing process where we, first, these are large vessels. Once I took my kids, and my son loves chocolate sauce. So I was the best father in the world. That day, I requested the plant कि आज सिर्फ chocolate sauce बनाना. So there was 100 tons of chocolate sauce, and I think the whole town was smelling of melted chocolate. But before this, so basically these are large vessels. They're not anything like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. These are stainless steel large vessels, and to go on top of the vessel, you have to take a ladder. I mean, it's not like a lakdi wali nahi, it's a proper ghar wali CD. You go up. So the raw material is dropped. So let's say in the case of tomato ketchup, tomato paste, which is essentially tomatoes, water, all the spices, a little bit of sugar. If you're having the sugar-free ketchup, then no sugar, there'll be some sweetener. All of that is dropped. Then it typically takes about 40 minutes to make 2000 kgs of ketchup. Then another 5 minutes to cool the ketchup, and once it's cooled, then we start filling it. And in certain cases, we first fill it and then cool these are long tunnels where we cool the bottles.
And let's talk about the unit cost also.
Whoa!
Yeah, we'll break it down. No?
Okay.
It'll be nice.
Yeah,
it'll be
let's
fun.
do that.
How much do you attribute per unit in the production of the bottle versus when it reaches a consumer? What are your typical costs?
So the person who earns the most out of a bottle is the retailer. And rightly so, because they're giving their
Distribution,
shelf space and all of that. So how it works is,
Give me 100 rupees
Okay.
as the benchmark.
Okay.
100 rupees is the price I'm paying for a bottle.
right.
Okay, so let's work backwards from
So
there.
100 rupees if you are paying, so between 15 to 20 rupees will go to the retailer. It might be a Zepto or a kirane ki dukaan near your house.
Okay.
So they will take between 15 to 20 rupees. Then 80, roughly 5-6% will go into the distributor who gives it to Zepto or to the kirane ki dukaan near your house. 5-6% will go to them. So that is about 75.
yeah.
Then depending on the product, first 3% to our warehousing cost. So that makes it 72. Then about 5% freight cost, because we're making it in Rajasthan and selling it across the country. So blended average across the country is about 5%. So this is 67. मेरे को लग रहा है मैं किसी private equity fund के साथ बैठ के बात कर रहा हूँ. And थोड़े टाइम पहले मैं ऐसी pitches Shark Tank पे सुन रहा था, मैं दे रहा हूँ. So you better invest in my business after this. 72 तक हम पहुंचे थे. So 5 for the blended freight, 67. Then about depending on the product, 12 to 18% tax, which is let's say 12%.
Why, depending upon the product?
So chocolate sauce will have 18% and tomato ketchup will have 12%. So
Okay.
12 to 18. So let's do 12% because 95% of our revenue is 12%. So 12% tax will bring us down to about 55. And our product cost will be anywhere between 42 to 49. Depending on the product, will be 42 to 49.
So then how does the math work?
So 55 minus 45, so we earn 10 rupees
Okay.
on the product.
Okay, so obviously this is like on scale that it makes
Yeah.
in
So on
commercials
scale,
here.
so let us say if Karishma decides to launch a sauce company, and I feel she is because she's taking so many details, but if you decide to launch, the 45 that it costs me to make a particular sauce will cost you roughly 51-52. So 5-6% is my cost of scale,
Right.
which for any new competition to come in, they will be 5-6% more expensive.
Right.
So one of our biggest moats as an organization is that because of our scale, we are one of India's largest sauce companies, and because of our scale, our raw material purchase power is strong because of our scale, and then we earn low gross margins. So if you look at the public listed companies which are operating at a 49-50% gross margin, we operate at 42-43% gross margin. So 7-8%, so we are cheaper than all our honorable opposition just from our gross margin.
Correct.
So which means we are giving 7-8% of extra value to the consumer,
Yeah.
and plus 5% of scale. So actually, if you and I were both selling at 100 rupees, my product will be about 10-11% better value for money, because I would have put in this is a bit complicated, but 10-11% more into the product than you would have. And if you put the same, then you would not be able to sell it below 111.
Okay, yeah.
So-
It's either way, it doesn't work
Yeah,
out in that math.
yeah,
Okay, understood. I'm not starting a sauce business.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
You obviously started in a B2B model where I'm assuming the margins were far higher because a lot of costs.
Far lower.
Oh, far lower.
So B2B margins are roughly less than 50%. Less than 50%.
How does that
So
work?
if we work on a 41-42% gross margin,
Yeah.
In our main business, so today our B2B revenue is about we supply sauces to Domino's, Burger King, a little bit to Subway, Taco Bell. Our B2B business is about 6-7% of our total revenue.
Oh.
92-93% comes from our distribution business.
Okay.
Now this 6-7% business, and again, please raise your hand if you're getting bored, I'll stop. Okay. This 6-7% business operates at about a 20% gross margin, whereas the B2C business will operate at a 42-43% gross margin.
Yeah.
So the B2B business is far, but then you get volumes like Domino's. Our first order was, I don't know the exact figure, but we must be supplying close to now 500-600 tons of sauce to Domino's every month. So kitna hota hai? 5-6 lakh kilo every month. So you get low margin but high value, high volume and value.
Yeah. Okay. So when you started out, why did you choose the B2B route and not the B2C route?
Because in my naivety, I thought पहले B2B कर लूँगा. B2B में जब successful हो जाऊँगा तो फिर B2C. I started Veeba to be a distribution. In India, everything is distribution.
100%.
Everything.
Yeah.
Distribution अगर आप नहीं करना जानते तो आप बड़ी consumer company नहीं बना सकते. I'm not an expert on other things, but I understand a little bit of consumer. Consumer when I say, I mean FMCG. So I was very clear that Veeba will be a distribution first company, but distribution is really expensive. You have to hire like people on the cities. So today we are present in more than 800 cities today. And every city has manpower, right? So a Delhi or a Bombay or a Bangalore might have 50-100 people, but a Kodai Canal or a Vellore or a Madurai also will need one person. So it becomes very expensive, right? So I was very clear that till the time we don't hit, again naivety, that 100 crore पहले कर लूँगा फिर मैं B2C में घुस जाऊँगा. So I had set a benchmark that till the time we don't do 100 crores of B2B revenue, we will not do B2C. And in my R&D, we started working on B2C products on day one, but we were very clear we will not launch them till the time we don't hit 100 crores of revenue.
Okay, so now let's have a little bit of a learning session, right? You obviously cracked this Domino deal, but to even get a meeting of that scale is first extremely difficult. Second, to convert that meeting into actual sales and actual purchase orders is a whole other ball game.
Right.
So for people watching, right, how did you make this happen?
So first of all, there is before even meeting Domino's, the first thing is your plant has to be approved by their global agency. Someone from US or the West will come and approve the plant. So you can't go asking for business. Having spent time in the restaurant industry and food, this thing, I knew folks at Domino's, right? Because I was also a fellow restaurateur. Not comparing myself to Domino's at all, but I was a fellow restaurateur. So I knew the people. But you have to understand, and this is very, very important. Imagine just because I know Karishma, you will not give me the business of all your mics from tomorrow, right? You will test my quality and lighting and all of that. So that is their core business. Just because I knew them, all knowing someone does is कि sir please किसी को बोल दो हमारा plant audit कर लें, because it's expensive. The cost of the audit comes on the company, not on Domino's. So कि sir please किसी को बोल दो हमारा plant audit कर लें. They will tell a third party to audit your plant. Once your plant has approved, knowing someone, a company of the stature of Domino's, which is India's largest restaurant company, it was back in 2013, even today it's the largest number of restaurants. They couldn't care less that they know me, because for them sauce goes on the pizza, right? They can't,
and that's like
can't
P0 priority.
Yeah, exactly. So my advantage in life was I knew whom to call and say कि sir please किसी को बोल दो plant audit कर दें. The reaction would, तुमने sauce start कर ली क्या बात? So, तू तो रेस्टोरेंट चलाता था, so I said नहीं सर किसी को, and that process took a few weeks/months, but our plant got audited and it scored 94-95%, which was unheard of.
What is the average?
I don't know the average, but we got A++ tier, which is for a new company. And
Great.
it was so funny. That became the normal for us. So after that, if we scored 94, I would tell my team what's wrong, what's going on. So, but we've never ever scored below, now it's more than 12 years, we've never scored below 90 ever.
Wow. And sorry, in which year did this conversation with Domino's happen? After purchasing the factory?
So after we bought the plant in Jan of 2013,
Okay.
Took us 6-7 months to ready the plant. Me and Mukulji, our first team member, both of us, he's passed away, and हम दोनों ने हाथ से खड़े होके वहाँ पे फैक्ट्री बनाई, and I owe a lot to him, and we made the plant together. मशीनें लग गई, सब कुछ हो गया. Then I said, let's go. I think we're ready. Let's go and get an audit done. We got there's something called HACCP certification done. So once our HACCP certification came, we realized that we're ready for getting an external audit done. And the external audits are brutal, right? Because they are coming with the intent of finding faults in you to not give you business. And that's their job. Audit's job is to,
I mean, of course,
find everything wrong in the business so that you can improve.
This is health.
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
health. Yeah.
So, and they're ruthless. They should be. They rightly are, and they should be also. So we approached Domino's. I called them up, and amazing people at Domino's. I asked, Harsharan Marva, Aseem, Dev Amritesh, and Ajay Kaul, who was the CEO. They kind of, this whole team has changed. They're no longer there at Domino's, but at that time they were there, and they were really supportive of me. And they said, okay, we will send someone. Nobody, and I kid you not, nobody was expecting us to pass, obviously, because badi companies fail ho jati hain, but we passed, and we passed with these kind of marks. And then the phase started of going to their office every day. Every day means 6 days a week कि please business दे दो. And the joke became कि यार इसको एक ना workstation नहीं दे दो तो यहीं बैठते. So I used to go there like every day, and few months later they give me a 70-ton order, and I did not have the heart to tell them कि हमारी capacity तो 60 tons की, आप 70 tons का order दे दिए. But I knew हमें करना तो है, so that's how we got that. And then something happened when the market realized the biggest company in the country has given orders to this new sauce company. We got Domino's with this much struggle, but we got Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell immediately.
That's
Burger
a flywheel.
King, then it just started rolling. And 3.5 years later, I hit my magic number of 100 crores.
Yeah.
And then I said, let's go into retail.
Okay, so 6 months, I mean, a few months you're going to Domino's and saying business de do. What do you think is it?
De do nahi, please de do.
Oh, please de do. Sorry. Please. So what do you think was that turning point when they decided ki let's give it to him? Was it just like, please, this guy is just too persistent and wo office chhodega hi nahi? Yeah.
I think a bit of that, obviously, because वो अपना workstation तो मेरे को देने ही वाले थे वहाँ पे, but they liked me. They saw that the intent is there. They liked me. They saw that even if I say so myself, that this guy is fighting on science. So all our competition, you have to understand, were the world's biggest players, right? So we could not go to Domino's and say कि हम 2 रुपए सस्ता कर देंगे. So we were always talking on some sort of goodness, fat reduction कर देंगे. So I remember going and pitching to KFC that let us reduce, we're anyways giving fried chicken, let us reduce the fat in the mayonnaise by 50% or 40%, so that let's reduce fat wherever possible, because the chicken is already fried.
So it plays into their communication that this is a
so
like.
We were adding some value to them. We were not just saying आज आप करिश्मा से ले रही हो, कल मुझसे 2 रुपए सस्ते में ले लो, because then Karishma would say, and Karishma has much deeper pockets than me, she would say मैं 3 रुपए सस्ते कर देती हूँ. So we would not have. So we always fought on science,
value add.
Yeah, and I would like to believe that we made an impact on them, and because of that they gave us a chance. And after that, the service, like that, really kind of. I'll tell you a story. I've never shared this with anyone ever.
Thank you. I love that you're highlighting this. So we'll just
very
pop it on our.
So एक बार ना एक पिज्जा हट का एक फ्रेंचाइजी था. So वहाँ पे हमने एक फ्रेंचाइजी का one of India's largest companies. वहाँ पे I used to have a Honda City at that time. मैंने सप्लाई देनी थी, मैंने अपनी गाड़ी में ही 5-7-10 पेटियाँ थी, डाली, डिलीवरी करने चले गए. तो वेयर हाउस वाले बंदे से ऑब्वियसली आई स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग देयर, मैं देने आया हूँ. तो ही सेड क्या करते हो, मैंने कहा जी यहाँ काम करता हूँ. एनीवेज 2 days later आई वाज टॉकिंग टू अ बिग बॉस एट दैट कंपनी एंड ही सेड यार माय टीम वाज टेलिंग तुमने बड़े अच्छे लोग रख लिए हैं, डिलीवरी देने भी बड़ा एजुकेटेड वेल. मैं कहा सर अब कंपनी बड़ी हो रही है, रखना ही पड़ेगा. आई कुड नॉट टेल हिम, मैं ही गया था जी डिलीवरी देने. सो ऐसा सर कंपनी धीरे धीरे बड़ी हो रही है, करना पड़ेगा. So it was a Sunday delivery and and they needed, it was some new launch, NPD launch happening and there was a stock out and they needed sauce. तो मैंने कहा चलो मैं ही दे आता हूँ. And these small things na kind of made our impression in the market that the service is very good. Then the industry just upnowed us. You know, we got all these chains in a matter of 3 months. And then just things started, to use your phrase, flywheeling.
The flywheel.
Flywheel, this thing happened.
It's my favorite word. I use it all the time.
realized, you know, so that's why I wanted to use it. So that started happening and yeah, we reached 100 crores. And at that time, 100 crores was significant. Even today, it is a lot.
It is a lot, yeah.
But at that time, for a 3-year or 3.5-year-old company to reach that revenue was
massive,
unheard of.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years or first 2.5 years were so difficult. And then 1.5 years, we reached. We were not making money because we were trying to grab business.
Correct.
So the company was, even if it was profitable, it was 0-1% EBITDA. But we grew exponentially in terms of the industry's mind and respect and all of that. Okay? Then we started getting calls that please come and pitch, you know, which was a very, and I was telling my team, सही यही सुना है आपने, बुला रहे हैं हम. So we started getting calls कि आओ हमें अपनी sauces दिखाओ, हमें अपना NPD दिखाओ, like new product development दिखाओ. And that is when the things started moving into place. So first 2.5 years were so difficult, and then a brilliant 1 year happened where we just got all the business, and I suddenly became from a salesperson a factory person, because the only intention was to deliver what we've taken with the quality that we've assured. And that meant, you know, the plant working at 110-120% capacity. Every day हमारे machines के orders जा रहे होते थे, every day हम नया business ला रहे होते थे. It was the most chaotic and the most blessed phase of our journey. Every day there was a meeting for new equipment, and every day there was a new PO coming. Because new client, new PO, new client, new PO.
The dream.
Yeah, the dream.
Yeah. So far I've gotten persistence.
Yeah.
Patience. Product, persistence, patience, and then service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this happened in a span of 3.5 years, where you hit this 100 crore magical mark.
Right.
Okay. And this was your B2B journey.
Yes. So that 100 crores is 100 crores today also.
Okay.
So the company has become whatever it has become, but the B2B is still that 110 crores.
So after you hit this magic 100 crore mark in B2B, what was your first step to go to B2C?
The first thing was I had started working. Obviously, you don't get to know 100 crores kal ho jayega. No. You're working on it. You know, okay, we're approaching it. So I had started working on the labels before that. The first set of the labels were actually drawn by me. We did not hire any agency. It was me writing like the Veeba name, and then, you know, I knew what I wanted in my head. So I made the labels myself.
You designed them?
Yeah, I designed them, and you know, people who know me will confirm that I'm not that creative, but I designed them myself, and we put them out in the market. And today's labels are an extension of that label. So as soon as a year later, when we started doing a bit well, we brought in an agency which professionalized the same labels, because even they loved the labels. They said, we'll just make them professional, neater, and, you know, more shelf throw kind of thing. But what I wanted very clearly was white labels, and at that time, all the labels were lal, pila, hara, purple, you know, green, blue. So I wanted something which differentiates us, and I wanted white. And also we were the first label at that time to come out and talk about fat in the label or sugar preserving, all those things. So, you know, read the label has become cool today. We were doing it at that time also. So, you know, the first thing was that now all of this is ready. Just press the button that let us start executing. लेबल के ऑर्डर्स हम लेबल डिज़ाइन कर दिया था, लेबल के ऑर्डर्स प्लेस कर दो. बॉटल्स हमें पता थी हम कौन से लेंगे, बट बॉटल वाले को बॉटल का ऑर्डर दे दो. Imagine, it'll be so weird for you to think before Veeba there were no flip top caps in India. We were the people who brought flip top caps. उस टाइम पे मिलती भी नहीं थी. We had to import our first set. And
how did that factor into cost?
See, the intention was very simple. Cost जो होगा होने देते हैं, but let's give India the best product that India has seen, right? Or maybe in the world. Let's just do that, and we will earn less margin. As I said, our motive is to charge 10% less gross margin, but let's put the best product out there. Why not put the best product out there? So because of that, we did not focus that much on cost. And again, we were not going on with the honorable incumbents head on. We were doing, so if the incumbents were doing ketchup and hot and sweet or mayonnaise, we were doing Southwest Chipotle, sweet onion. So we were not really, so we did not have any cost barriers. So we said best banate, jo bhi hoga wo denge.
You said, sorry.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so question at that point, right? When you said that, okay, let's just go to market.
Right.
How do you go to market? For so many people, distribution is a huge challenge.
So that was our biggest challenge, and I joke about this. I am only 43. I look 50. मैं ना distribution पहले ना गंजा था ना grey था. Distribution does that to you, and the initial set of distributors were exponentially more difficult. Today, what grays me is the size and scale. The 750, 800 cities. But at that time was to get the first distributor. So our Delhi had one distributor, or Bombay had one distributor. Now Delhi and Bombay have, I don't know the number, but in excess of 50 distributors. Bombay will have more than 50 distributors. So the first was difficult, and I did not know. We had one line के हमारा जहाँ प्रॉब्लम हो, और ये लाइन ना मेरी सेल्स टीम सुन के खप जाती थी मुझसे कि जहाँ प्रॉब्लम है बोतल खोल दो. हमारी बोतल इतनी अच्छी है. शॉपकीपर कहते हैं नहीं रखना, बोतल खोल दो, टेस्ट कराओ. डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर कहते हैं नहीं रखना, बोतल खोल दो. एंड my secret was at that time we used to go to shops. Me and our Hemant Sharma heading sales at that time. Me and Hemant used to go to shops in the evening at about 5:36 जब सबसे ज़्यादा shoppers होते थे. तो we used to go to all the ma'ams and say, ma'am, sauce try करो. Chips की tray रखते थे, chips and dip की tray रखते थे कि try करो. Do you like it? Yes. If we place it in this shop, will you buy it? So she would always say yes. Then we would go to the shopkeeper. देखो जी customer खरीदने के लिए ready है. अब आप रख लो माल. And the second thing, which was again our brilliant sales strategy, and it'll be any consumer founder this will be a huge insight. Appointing distributors is the most difficult thing. And as I say, in India, everything is distribution. We used to go to the shopkeeper and say कि सर आप किस distributor के साथ काम करना चाहते हो, आप हमें बता दो. So he would usually recommend his favorite distributor. Now if he's recommended his favorite distributor, he will also keep stocks from that distributor. So we really, I think the Indian Kirana store or the Indian GT shopkeeper is the most intelligent, and in our journey our biggest partner in success. The Indian retailer gave us so much leeway or so much love that a large part of our thanks goes to them. They gave us, shelf space. We launched with, it's unheard of, we launched with 14 products. Usually a company or a brand launches with 2, max 3. We launched with 14. तो हम जाके बोलते थे हमें इतनी नहीं, हमें इतनी जगह चाहिए. Because 14 products रखने होते थे. So we really involved the shopkeeper in our story. We used to take all his recommendation, distributor कौन सा है, कितना माल रखना चाहिए, कितनी facing होनी चाहिए, सब कुछ. And we would follow what they do. And they started kind of trusting us. And for any Delhi company, I don't know किस दिल्ली वाले ने आके किस बॉम्बे रिटेलर के साथ क्या बुरा किया था. Delhi companies are not trusted by Bombay retailers. But Veeba is. We earned their trust the hard way. We got a chance to work with them and we earned their trust. And today, even the Bombay retailers trust us like that. And again, the Bombay retailer, wherever you stay in Bombay, go down. For one day only, leave Zepto and Blinkit and Swiggy. Go down and see. Every shop will have Veeba products there. So if I had to tell you about our revenue today, I don't know if you can call us a startup anymore, but all startups are e-com first, right? If let's first remove the B2B revenue that I spoke about.
Yeah.
Now we're only focusing on the distribution revenue. 72% comes from GT, the Kirana stores and the small bakeries and the small restaurants. So GT. Then 22% comes from modern trade, which is DMart and Reliance and Spencer. And 7-8% comes from e-com. And e-com, obviously, the maximum comes from quick com. But we are a startup building a traditional FMCG company. We are building for the might of India. We're building for FMCG. We're building for every young company looks really sexy in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune. But we look equally good in a Hoshiarpur or a Madurai or a Vellore or any smaller tier 2 city. So that is what our strength is. We are a distribution first company.
And in this entire balance outside of B2B, which cities are you most operational in? Like where do you sell the most?
So this is a really cool thing and I'm really proud of this. Our number one city is Delhi. Okay. Our number one state is Maharashtra. Our number one region is South India. So North ki city, West ka state, South ka region. Obviously there's some maths to it because South has 3 metros, Hyderabad, Chennai and Bangalore. Maharashtra has Bombay and Pune. Both are big consumers. And Delhi is a single big city. So, but North ki city, West ka, which makes us truly national. I would like to also add that we need to do better in East India. We are lagging there. It's an area of improvement for our organization. I think I was just reviewing the numbers. Abhi sales end ki closing chal rahi thi. So in West Bengal, we are doing 8,000-9,000 shops. I mean, for anyone young founder listening to this, he'll say, such a arrogant fellow, 8,000-9,000 ko bas keh rahe. But West Bengal should do much more. So if we're competing with the large national brands, we need to have a distribution which matches them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give people who are looking to crack distribution, not just in FMCG, but in other products?
Sauces se dur raho. Other products ki baat karte hain.
Okay, please, nobody do sauces. Uske baad.
Listen to Karishma. So what advice would I give them is, see, I think I'll give more of a philosophical advice. First is don't take, if I had to give advice to Viraj from 10 years back or 12 years back, first advice I would give is, har cheez ka itna stress mat le. Relax a bit. It's going to take time. Just relax. Learn to just have a good time at times. That is the biggest. So every founder I talk to, I tell them be patient. It's especially FMCG takes time. It's not tech.
Yeah.
You won't become a unicorn overnight. So it takes time. So be patient. 2, learn to enjoy the road also. Learn to enjoy the things.
The little victories.
Yeah, the little victories. And third is, passion. I'm going to say something really unpopular. Passion is a bit overrated at times. I see such, and I'm jealous also of these young founders. They make such amazing websites and amazing Instagram pages and amazing apps. But that is not enough, Passion with a dose of perseverance is what you need, because meri life ka jo motto hai na, my life's motto is boring is sexy.
Yeah.
So, Viraj coming on the Karishma show is a byproduct. It is not the work itself. You're only calling me because Veeba is doing what it's doing or VRB is doing what it's doing. You would not have called me if I was not doing well. Let's be candid about that. So
no, we call all kinds of people.
Oh, you do all kinds of people. So, better that you called me as a successful entrepreneur rather than all kinds of people. So from that, maybe one day you call me as a marriage counselor.
Yeah. That would be a alternate profession.
Alternate profession, yeah.
People will sign up left, right, and center. What a great idea. Yeah.
But the thing is, the sexy Instagram pages aside and the websites aside, FMCG is all about execution. It is about making the right product, taking it to market, putting it in the shops, putting it at Zepto or Blinkit or Swiggy, Instamart. Execution, and it is the boring work which makes you successful. जो सर नीचे रख के हर रोज 10-12 घंटे काम करने का जो benefit मिलता है, passion does not take you there alone. Passion with a big dollop of perseverance.
Yeah.
That is what is needed.
Also persistence and the ability to show up when it's not going well.
Exactly.
I think that's like a key differentiator, right? Like not everybody, the side that you see of people on like LinkedIn or Instagram is that where we're just seeing the victories, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like everything is so amazing for this person, but it's the in between days where it's just really not going according to plan and you're still showing up. I think that's a huge differentiator.
What you said is so important. So someone recently asked me, when chips were down, what did you do? And I'll tell you what I did. I just showed up.
Yeah.
You just reach office at 9:30 or whatever the office timings are. You just reach office at that time. Just show up. When you're in office, if you sulk and go under the razai and stay there, nothing will be done. So showing up is fist pump again. So showing up is 70% of the problem.
Yeah.
Once you just show up, some things will happen. You'll meet people, you'll talk to people.
A solution will manifest.
Will
manifest
happen.
in that
exactly.
sense, right? So this was that kind of overarching way to crack distribution or other things in life.
Right.
But if you had to say one thing that people can do to find that first distributor and really crack them, whether in FMCG or otherwise, what would you say?
So, I'll tell you exactly what they have to do. They should identify 10 shops. Go to the 10 shops, and these 10 shops should be a mix of a good store in your locality, a weak store in your locality, and a very weak store. So good 3, weak 4, and the other one 3, very weak 3. Then even if you have to, there's a term called buying display.
Mm-hmm.
You put your best foot forward. So that means you buy a shelf. The shelf might cost you 500 to 2,000 rupees a month, whatever the price may be. You buy a shelf at the retailer and you display your product. So that means you're giving your product the best footing forward.
Visibility.
और अगर फिर भी नहीं बिकता, first accept के problem है, because आप हर shop पे तो display नहीं खरीद पाओगे. It is too expensive. Even a Unilever can't do it, so you won't be able to do it. So you find your product market fit like that. If it is selling, if you have put 12 pieces और एक हफ्ते में 3 पीस बिक गए, that means there is hope. अगर एक हफ्ते में 8 पीस बिक गए, that means it's amazing. But अगर 3 हफ्ते में 1 पीस बिक गए, that means there's an issue with the product market fit. So first is do 10 products. Now, assuming that these 10 products, these 10 shops start selling, when you place these products, always have the distribution margin already inbuilt to the price. Don't give the distribution margin on day one, because these 10 shops, you can run them as an experiment, but you can't do 100 shops from the company directly. So because you have to always have a 5 rupee, 10 rupee in 5-10% inbuilt distribution margin. So as soon as these shops start selling, appoint a distributor. How do you appoint a distributor? जो भी उस shop में top most sale कर रहा होगा out of the 10, उसके पास जाओ और उनको बोलो सर प्लीज कोई डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बता दो. वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर खुद बता देंगे आपको. अगर माल बिक रहे तो इंडियन रिटेल से ज़्यादा अकोमोडेटिंग कोई है ही नहीं, बिकॉज द इंडियन retailer will never let go of even 1 rupee. They will always want to earn it. So अगर आपका माल बिक रहे, they will ensure कि उनको weekly service आए. The GT retailer, general trade retailer of India is the, I mean, अगर customer satisfaction किसी से सीखनी है तो उनसे सीखो, because they will always make sure their customer does not go back empty handed. So अगर उनको हमारी रोस्टेड सेसमे ड्रेसिंग अच्छी लगती है, एक घर में एक करिश्मा खरीदती है कि भैया मेरे को वो रोस्टेड सेसमे दे दो, ही विल इंश्योर वो वीबा से कैसे ना कैसे करके एक बोतल वहाँ रखे, एंड ही विल हैव इट फॉर यू व्हेनेवर यू नीड इट, एंड द डे यू बाय इट ही विल प्लेस एन ऑर्डर फॉर 1 more and keep it ready for whenever
until
you need
she
it.
orders it again.
Yeah, exactly. So customer satisfaction, the GT retailer of India just doesn't let go of customers. So if your product is selling, he'll ensure that he gives you a good distributor. So I'm giving a very, very basic way, but this is the only way for anyone listening. That's how they start their distribution. एक बार वो समझ आ जाए कि product market fit है and the product movement है, then you scale it up into 100 stores, then 500 stores and so on.
Okay.
And the second thing, I speak to so many young founders, and I always hear them saying हमने top 10 cities में रख दिया. And what is very important for anyone listening here is that the top 10 cities, so when you put a product in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, and the usual 10, and if it does well, that does not mean that it will do well in the remaining 90 or the top 500 cities. So the top 10 cities that you choose always has to be a sample set of India. So if you're a north-based company, do a Delhi, but do a Chandigarh, a Ludhiana, a Lucknow, Hoshiarpur, a Philor, because the sample set जो आप first 10 करते हो, that should be expandable. If you choose the top 10 and expect the next 500 to give the same results, there's something wrong in visualizing that also. So first choose your sample right, because that sample, the cities that I've mentioned, so or if you're a west based company, obviously do a Bombay and a Pune, but do a Nagpur, do a Nasik, so that when you expand nationally, that's the right sample set. This is another area where I see a lot of founders flounder. They go to the top 10 and then they expect that they've done well there, and then they will go do some over-eager private equity fund वो Excel में डालेंगे, this divided by 7 into 100 हो गया, इतना revenue. ऐसे नहीं होता. So
it doesn't work like
that. So choose your sample set right.
Okay. Let's talk about the costing, expenses aspect of the business. When is the right time to raise? When did you raise? When should one typically raise?
So I think when should one typically raise is when you need the money. I think सबसे पहली बात तो वो है, whenever you need the money you should raise. But before when you should raise or what is the right time is who you should raise. I think we have 3 investors in our company, DSG, Sama and Whirl Invest. Every time I've raised money, I swear I'm not kidding, every time I've had a higher valuation term sheet on the table, I have always chosen the right fund over the highest number.
The highest valuation.
Highest valuation, because yes, I got diluted a little bit because of that, but it is almost, Karishma, like a marriage. If you get into a bad marriage, a bad investor can also ruin your life like a bad spouse. So get the right partner, spend time with them, talk to them, understand them, because it is going to be a long 5, 10 year relationship. So the first is not when, but who. That is one big mistake. Second is, if you're running out of money, don't wait for a desperation point that you have a 6-month runway. You should always have a 12-month runway, because once you have a 2-month, 3-month, 4-month runway, people know everything is very clear from the P&L. People know you will run out of money. You will never get the valuation you think you deserve. And that is where I see maximum rifts happening, because you value your business at something, but the person sitting across the table, it's his business to manage money, right? He knows you'll run out of money in 3 months, and if his money doesn't come up, it's a guaranteed 20% or a 30% depletion in the valuation if you wait for the last moment. So you should always raise money, as I said right in the beginning, कि जैसे ही पैसे खत्म हो रहे हो, you should start raising. Third is unpopular opinion, but fundraising should not be celebrated. Even the media is to be blamed. अगर मैं यूनिकॉर्न हूँ, आपकी सेहत पे क्या फ़र्क पड़ रहा है? कुछ नहीं, मैं आपको तो पैसे आके दूंगा नहीं. And every time I have raised money, I have gone back thinking, so you make news, this company raised this valuation, यहाँ पे आपने एक घोड़ा बना लिया with a unicorn sticker, obviously tattoo करा लिया, but what does that give you? Every time I've raised money, I've gone back thinking, raising money is made like a victory, but मेरा तो काम उस दिन शुरू हुआ है ना. What have I done? I have taken money from outside, which means more responsibility. I'm answerable to someone. I have to give them a return, not only myself a return, a fund. I have increased my answerability. So fundraising should not be celebrated. Fundraising is the start of work for a founder. Not, I have met so many founders who say, आज हमने fundraise, मतलब they actually think of it कि अब तो हमने achieve कर लिया. Fundraise करने के बाद तो आपकी achievement का काम start when, even if you achieve something and then you've raised money at a higher valuation, are automatically made zero, because then you have to start giving returns from there. So every time I have raised money, and as I said earlier, last time I raised money was 2018 or 2019. I remember feeling more pressure, more stress, more, you have to be right by your investors.
Yeah.
So one more investor you take in means one more set of returns to give.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And when was the first time that you raised?
2013.
When did you decide? How do you decide that it's the right time? Because you obviously need money.
Yeah.
But like, is that the only factor?
See, the thing is, the house money got us the plant, but वो खत्म हो गए थे पैसे, so I needed money at that time, and DSG, Deepak Shadatpuri runs the fund, and DSG, we were their first check in India, and obviously they were our first fund, so he wrote in the first check, so that gave us money from buying the plant to renovating the plant and taking it to market, kind of a thing. Then second fundraise we did was a year and a half later with Sama, the California-based fund I was talking about, Ash Lilani. That money was used to expand. We bought a 35,000 square feet plant and we took it to almost 150, 160,000. That money was used for that. The third fundraise happened with Whirl Invest. And that money was used for the big plant that we put in. So we have tried to stay true to our cause. We are a very financially efficient company. So the investor money has always been used for either explosive marketing or a large plant. So the third tranche of fundraising that we did was used for setting up the new plant, and we launched a new brand, and that brand needed a lot of money. We were getting into child nutrition, and SRK was our brand ambassador for 2 years. We spent a lot of money, and that was money off the balance sheet. The balance sheet did not have that much money to invest in SRK for 2 years, a new plant, as well as a national television campaign, highest advertisers in the IPL final. All of that was done with the third tranche. And also the worst year for me personally, because I got a bit cocky with the success of Veeba. Then I thought this new brand will be as successful. We Nourish was our child nutrition brand, and the only good thing that came out of it is that I got to work with the legend SRK for 2-3 days, and I got lessons for a lifetime.
Really?
Lifetime means lifetime.
Okay, share some lessons with us then from Shah Rukh Khan.
So I don't even know if he remembers who I am now, but SRK was. So I was a fan going in, otherwise...
We are all fans, let's just...
So I'll tell you this, I was a fan going in, and coming out I was a 100x fan. So, what he teaches you, the success that he's seen with the humility that he has. I mean, when he comes on set, he will know my name, he will know my team's name, he will come give us a hug. We were... And obviously he's a legend, right? And obviously the director listens to what SRK is saying, and we were our shoot time, every brand ambassador gives you 8 hours for a particular this thing, and our the shoot had not finished. So the director said cut, not cut, whatever, wrap. I said but abhi to bacha. He said nahi, sir ka time ho gaya. So I said but hamara shoot. He said you go talk to him, and I was literally shaking कि मैं जाके उनको क्या बोलूँगा. So I went to him and I said, sir, कि थोड़ा सा बच्चा. He just kept a hand on my shoulder and he said, Viraj, तो shoot करेंगे ना, अभी क्या हुआ? What are you thinking about? It just calmed me so much, and I went to the director telling कि he's saying कि shoot normal चलेगा, and he was loving, caring, giving in every sense of the word. And I swear, I can't tell you how much I've learned from in those 3 days about how to respect people, how to... I mean, I don't expect to see the kind of success he has seen in his lifetime, but even if I do half of that and have the kind of humility he has, I think I will consider myself victorious.
Wow, that sounds like an experience, and you're very lucky.
Very, very lucky. So the best thing which came out of that failing brand was SRK. Yeah.
What were the worst things out of a brand that did not work? We spoke about the good stuff. We spoke about Shah Rukh Khan. Everybody's in a happy mood.
Yeah.
We should put them in misery.
So, with We Nourish, we thought that I had a distribution. I generally made that product for my own kids. I made a Taj Mahal, not realizing that I'm fighting not a legacy brand but generational brand. Some of my, the people or the kids we were pitching to, the kids were having the incumbents, their parents, and sometimes their grandparents are also drinking Horlicks and Bonvita and all of that. So we were fighting generational brands. Second thing is, just because we made the best product in the country did not mean that that lesson stayed with me, that value conscious hona bahut zaruri hai. Just because you made the best product, if a Bonvita or a Horlicks was 120, we could not sell at 300 rupees for the same weightage. So it shook my core as a founder, and I think it took me good 4-5 years, because we always ran a frugal company. Even if we were not doing well, we would make sure हमारा EBITDA -1 +1 के बीच में कहीं होगा. We will not be one of those startups which writes 300 crore loss, 500 crore loss. The company has always been frugally run. That shook my core, because that is the only year in our 10-12 year journey that our balance sheet showed like a loss of a enormous,
What
kind of.
amount?
So the entire We Nourish project, I know the number because the entire We Nourish project costed us 111 crores. And it was a lot of money, and it is obviously
It's
a
a
lot of money for me, still is. But that year, so all the Veeba profits, everything, but that year we ended up writing I don't remember, 69, 70 or 71 crore loss on our balance sheet. It just honestly, Karishma, it shook my core. I went into a shell कि मैं अपनी कंपनी को इतने गंदे पोजीशन में कैसे डाल सकता हूँ, कि I have brought, because of We Nourish, brought Veeba to its knees.
Yeah.
Veeba suddenly had to stop advertising. Veeba had to, we had to stop hiring in Veeba because we were hiring over there. And as luck would have it, immediately after the launch, COVID came. So that brand never survived a chance, because in COVID suddenly the doctors shut shop. We could not do doctor prescriptions. So it was a very tough year. And then on top of that, COVID happened at the same time. So yeah, a lot of lessons learned. I will never do that again.
Do what again?
So we've launched brands after that, and we've also failed brands after that. But the lesson that I took away from there was no national launches.
For those who are watching, national launches are.
So we put it in 500 cities on day one, and with a large blitzkrieg of a national television campaign. So now we've made a budget in our heads. That is a budget we can happily walk away from. So that's $1 million, 8 crore rupees. हम 8 crore रुपए launch पे खर्चेंगे. It does not affect the health of the company, which means we will take isolatable cities, which the media of that. So for example, Bengali media is very strong. So you can only advertise on Bengali, not being. So we will use Calcutta, because we're based out of Delhi. We will always do Delhi. So Calcutta, Delhi, and let's say one city in South India or one city in Maharashtra. We will study it in 3 cities. If it is showing good traction, we will take it national immediately. For example, our noodles, they started doing well. The Wok Talk noodles I spoke about, they started doing well. We took them national so fast that you can't imagine. In 2 months, we took it national. And we did a huge marketing splash. Diljit Dosanjh was at the launch.
I saw that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh my God,
Yeah,
that's fun. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Latent, we did this thing. But the lesson that we learned from the failure was 3 cities mein karo. And another brand, Provi, we launched. It did not do well in 3 cities. We pulled the plug. We lost whatever 7-8 crores, but VRB can afford a write-off at that level. So the lesson learned from We Nourish was that if you ever have the money, always go for SRK, because that's a no-brainer. Other than that, the lessons learned were that the launch has to be, it has to be micro. Do a 3-city or a 3-state launch. If it does well, take it national. Don't do big ass things on day one. So tomorrow if we launch a new sauce, obviously we will take it national.
Of course. And you have that distribution, you have the legs for it.
And more importantly, the consumer associates
Veeba with the sauce, yeah.
We entered a new market, like that to child nutrition, that
Tough.
to generational brands, and with that kind of. So lesson learned. I remember my investors, my friends, my colleagues, everyone telling me कि हो गया, कर लिया कंपनी ने, बट नाउ यू हैव टू रिमूव इट फ्रॉम योर माइंड बिकॉज जो आप शेल में जा रहे हो कि और लॉन्चेस नहीं करने, ये नहीं करना, उसकी वजह से कंपनी इज सफरिंग. It shook me that badly, that we nourished debacle.
How was the conversation with investors when this happened and finally ultimately it was like, okay, this is, we're going to shut?
Again, nothing but support.
Okay.
And it goes back to the same thing on who the
The
investors
investor
are.
is, right.
Because we never took valuations of a level that they were always on edge. I want any investor today, our private equity investors, or tomorrow, if we ever go public, our retail investors, I always want investors to make money out of Veeba. So our valuations were fair. So it was not that we brought them on a valuation of the business post the launch of VNourish. VNourish was extra. So it did not do well. There was nothing but support from them. They were the first people who told me, "Ki Viraj, ho gaya, now please get out of the shell, let's move on."
Right.
Which investor says that? So it boils down to who the investors are, as I said, like a marriage, and B, are you fair to them or not? If you milk them for squeeze them like that kapda and nichodo them, and wo last ka drop bhi valuation ka nikal lo, obviously they are managing people's money, they are answerable too, they will make sure that they get that. But if you're fair to them, they're fair to you, it's not a problem. And it is not that I went to them and said main kal VNourish band kar raha hu. We are friends at the end of the day. We are on a WhatsApp group talking all the time. तो उनको पता ही था कि, and it obviously it bothers me then more than it will bother the investor. So they also realize that.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad human being that I'm
Of
taking
course.
them for a ride.
And
they
why would you do
understand.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very important question for entrepreneurs and founders. And I found this so often. Pulling the plug is the most difficult thing because in your mind you're married to the idea. You're very emotional. You kind of tend to have these blind spots that it'll get better, and then put in a little bit more money, a little bit more marketing, then it'll click. When do you pull the plug?
I तो वो strawberry chili sauce और orange sauce में कभी plug pull करने में मेरे को बड़ी problem हुई थी. So I'm that fanatic about products, but I think one of the lessons in my life is that if I would have shut my restaurant business a year before I actually did, it would have given me. So today, the thing is, Karishma, I don't want to change anything from my past because I'm very happy where I am. मैं जाके कुछ पीछे छेड़ना नहीं चाहता कि ये हिल जाए. But the restaurant business, the writing was on the wall, and the founder knows it's not doing well. The founder knows that VNourish is not doing well. The plug has to be pulled. I think you have to be very pragmatic. The advice that I gave, if it's not selling from the shops, you have given it the best possible launch, best possible placement, it's not selling, you have to either change the product or pull the plug. So my only request to fellow founders would be that look into your heart. It's not doing well, pull the plug. Don't wait for your colleagues to say pull the plug. Don't wait for especially your investors to say pull the plug, because that is the shittiest place to be in. You know yourself, and before anyone else in your company would know. So do it yourself.
Yeah. And that awareness, that
yes,
act on the awareness,
exactly.
basically.
And honestly, you just know.
Yeah.
There's no confusion. In fact, there's a large product range which we're planning to change in our organization, and I know that it needs to be done. I just know it, right? So
let's talk about the softer nuances of entrepreneurship. You were earlier saying that I just worked ass off those 5-6 years.
Still do?
Yeah. But you remember.
More pressure those.
Yeah. And but then there it's like life and death almost, right? Where you have to make it work kind of situation. So much about hustle culture being spoken about left, right, and center. Almost everybody has contributed to this conversation. In fact, when I was sitting with the Sharks, I did a little round table with them, and there were very opposing views and lots of fun banter between Anupam and Namrata on this subject.
Okay, I haven't seen that, so I should.
Please do watch this episode specifically.
So because I follow you, I know you were at the set at the same time as when you were taking this.
Yeah.
I was at the set, but I was in a different interview at the same time. I was like, oh shit, Kash Karishma ke mere saath.
Oh really? Yeah.
So next time.
Yeah, next time. So I did with 4 of them, and it was one of those podcasts. So I was in Manali, and
you were in Manali
after.
Achha, okay.
And somebody came to me and said, आपने शार्क्स के साथ इंटरव्यू किया था, and I was like, oh wow, somebody watched it in Manali. I was thrilled. So anyway, and this was the clip that got the maximum amount of traction and engagement because there were very opposing viewpoints on this. So what is your opinion?
My viewpoint on hustle is that I think hustle is very, very important in the 0 to 100, maybe 150, max 200 crore journey. You know, after that, you just need to stop hustling because. So today, VRB has three strengths. One is our product and product innovation. Second is our distribution, and third is the team. I take a huge amount of pride in saying that I've built one of the best teams where every HOD is much better than me at their job. Now, what happens is if you're always hustling, good quality talent will never work for a always hustling entrepreneur, because always hustling means you're working 26 hours a day, you're erratic. Today you're taking the company in this direction, tomorrow you're taking it in this direction, which is okay in the building years and it should be done. But it is equally important to hustle from 0 to 150, let's say 200 crores, but then stop hustling and be a organized founder where talent comes, thrives, and runs the organization along with you. If you're always hustling, good quality talent will not work for you. It's very clear. Why will they? Because good quality talent by definition is talent everyone wants. Why will they work for a madman? It is as simple as that. If I was a good quality talent, I would, if I have one, there's a Hindi word called sthirtha. My cabin is a place of sthirtha where you come, we'll have a logical discussion and a solution will be reached no matter what. If I'm erratic, imagine my HOD's plight. If I'm erratic, आज मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, कल मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, obviously they will go out and say, अभी पागल आदमी के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, let's look for another job. So I think I am very clear that hustling is good, but it needs to be left after a certain size.
What about you individually? How many hours a day? How do you see that work-life balance?
So I think I am working all the time, very honestly. I'm in office for between 8 to 10 hours. Then I have some external meetings. But, the thing is, for a founder, you're always on. There is no off for us. And same for you, I'm sure. I work in the office, then I go home, spend some time with the kids, then I go to my home office every night and I spend half an hour. When I finish my emails, so when I reach office in the morning, there's no backlog of any emails. So I am always on, always. Barring 2 WhatsApp groups which I've put on mute now, but I'm always on otherwise. At the same time, it is my responsibility to give my entire team a work-life balance. So which means for a founder, there is no concept of work-life balance, but I guarantee this, for anybody joining VRB, they will get a work-life balance.
How do you ensure that?
We work, the teams work for 8 hours and that's it. If you come in at 10, you leave at 6, and we enforce that. You will find me taking a walk, maybe not anymore. Earlier I used to, that 6 baj gaye ghar jao. So my logic is, you give me 8 hours of your day, 1 ghanta aana, 1 ghanta jana, 10 hours are mine, 14 hours are yours. Obviously moonlighting is not allowed in our organization. The 14 hours are given to you so that you, आजकल वो टिकटॉक का प्ले बॉल, पिकल बॉल खेलते हो, सब खेलो, सब कुछ करो, बच्चों के साथ टाइम स्पेंड करो, बीवी के साथ टाइम स्पेंड करो, बट come fresh to the office. And we are one of those companies which says 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, and we implement it also. At the head office, also at our manufacturing facilities, also for our teams. So work-life balance is almost a guarantee when you work at VRB. Yes, there will be, days, audit ke time, the accounts team, finance departments, they work till late night, sales closing ke time, sales team, but that is the exception, not the norm. महीने में 2-3 दिन हो जाए तो हो जाए, but every other day you go.
How often do you operate from gut?
Very often. I'm 60% gut, 40% data. 3 years back, if you would have asked me this question, I would have said 95% gut, 5%
You've dialed it. One of the platforms that obviously have given you a lot of recognition is Shark Tank.
Yes.
How has life changed post Shark Tank?
I mean, see, very honestly, Being on Shark Tank is a privilege, right? It's every founder wants to be on Shark Tank, and those who say they don't want to be on Shark Tank are lying. So everybody wants to be on Shark Tank. So I had the privilege of being on Shark Tank. But
Even me, although I was there to shoot a reel.
well, you are clearly the question you're asking. You are a shark. You are literally a shark at Shark Tank. But at the same time, post Shark Tank, the noise, I roll it up and dabaw it somewhere, because then I go back to working. I don't let that be my only thing. I am smart enough to realize that Shark Tank calls me because of Veeba, not because of Viraj. Karishma calls me because of Veeba, not because of Viraj. So the focus cannot go off Veeba or VRB. That has to be the focus. Walk Talk has to be the focus. So I'm very lucky or blessed that I can compartmentalize that. I am forever in gratitude of being on Shark Tank. And obviously though it doesn't drive me, but it does feel nice to be recognized, or someone coming. आपके साथ 1,000 times ज़्यादा होता होगा, but जैसे airport पे किसी ने बोल दिया.
It really does not have 1,000 times. And half the times I'm like, no. Once I was at a cricket match and something had just gone down and somebody said, "Are you?" I said, "Absolutely not. I don't know who that is." Who's that?
Yeah, maybe I'll do that next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great being on Shark Tank, and I hope they call me again. But more than that, it was, how do I say? The word is gratitude.
Yeah. What's the funniest thing that has happened to you and your family when you guys are out? How are they coping with the newfound,
See, I think I'm not that famous, let's be and even on Shark Tank, I was not there for that many episodes to be that famous. I am, I think, more famous in the founder community and founders and all of that. But it was honestly a very, very clear-cut discussion, me and my wife, and even my elder son, who's only 13, we involved him also, that should I do this or not do this? Because fame, or not fame, eyeballs, unnecessary, how do I say, attention towards the kids or me or Ridhima. We had a discussion and we realized that is the con, but the pros are far greater, so let's do it. And it was a very clear-cut, methodically thought decision. This was not a gut decision.
This was a thought out.
I mean, Niyati, our head of marketing, she was involved in this thing because we had to analyze the good or the bad on Veeba. So it was very clearly thought of, 2-3 good minds at it, and then we, went for it.
Do you see a spike in sales during Shark Tank season?
No, we saw a spike. Again, see, we are very well penetrated. So we did see a spike in sales in our e-com business, but our GT and modern trade, it's too vast a business or a distribution for it to get a spike from
No, I understand that.
But e-com, we saw a significant spike.
How much?
If I had to put a number, it'll be more than 25-30%.
Wow.
Yeah.
During the period of Shark Tank.
Then it settled down, but it did not go back to zero. The baseline increased by 5% or 6%. But during those episodes or those time when it was airing, it went up to 20-30%.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was. I mean, straight benefit.
Yeah, like the big pro. Yeah, we must do it. Okay. And you worked with global QSR standards. What's one of the hardest things that you've had to comply with?
Very honestly, none. I
Really?
mean,
They're all necessary.
they're all necessary, and there was one weird thing which happened. I don't want to take the company's name because it's not right. हमारी factory के बाहर there was a fly catcher. Okay, the light नहीं होती इसमें आगे वो fly चिपक जाती है. So they said this is brutality towards flies. So they made us buy these imported things जिसमें light होती है, मक्खी आती है, but then there's a fan underneath. Before it dies, it gets sucked into the fan and goes into a bag.
Into a bag?
Bag. And then every evening we had to go 2 kilometers away from the plant and release those flies.
Oh my God.
So that fly brutality does not take place.
Okay, so you're one of the few entrepreneurs who've seen the entire cycle of true entrepreneurship, right? You failed at projects before, but also within this successful journey.
Yes.
So what one piece of advice would you give to someone who considers themselves a failed entrepreneur?
Ooh, that's a heavy question. Uh, See, first of all, own it. It's okay. Nobody cares about your life as much as you think they do. So don't take it to heart. If you go on my LinkedIn profile, you will see failed restaurateur. I write it as a part of my experience. I failed. I think the most important thing is have a good set of friends. My only advice or worry for fellow founders is that don't let it affect your mental health. I was blessed to have a great spouse, a fantastic set of friends who helped me through it. If you don't have that, get a shrink. Do whatever it takes, but I'm only worried about the mental health aspect of an entrepreneur failing because it does take a toll on you. Nothing beats sitting on the weekend and having a few drinks with your friends and abusing the world to get it out of the system. Whatever works for you, do that. So in my case, a very supportive spouse and family, very supportive friends, that really worked for me.
Okay, awesome. Now we have the guess the sauce segment. So now we're going to mix two sauces. And
That is just not fair, by
no,
the way.
no. I've been told that it was very easy. So now we must make it difficult.
Yeah.
So we're going to mix the two sauces. And basis your guess and how you guess, then we'll ask a question corresponding to the two sauces.
Done.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now Viraj has been blindfolded, and we are not kidnapping him. He's just in the
I
middle
wish.
of a very competitive game where we've mixed two sauces in each container, and he has to guess which two they are. Okay, so
Wow.
moment of truth here. Viraj.
बहुत sauce के बारे में बात कर ली. Let's see if he knows something or not.
Yeah.
There's a spoon, right?
Yeah, there's a spoon.
Shall I try?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Amazing. We've already succeeded. You have to take the second spoon.
Okay. Sorry. Red chili. Chili sauce, sriracha or red chili along with. Let's go with Southwest Chipotle.
Who's wrong?
It's wrong. Damn it. What is it? Tell me the answer also.
It's sriracha, chili hot sauce, and cheesy jalapeno dip.
Oh yeah, no, it's not wrong. It's right. Sriracha and Chipotle and cheese jalapeno, same profile. Smoky peppery sauce, yeah.
If that helps you sleep at night.
Yeah, it will help me
Okay,
sleep at
okay,
night.
great. Okay, we'll do the
But
next
saying
one.
that sriracha was too high in this, so that
Okay. Let's
Okay.
try this one.
chili kills the taste buds, right?
No.
Okay.
Hey, these are three. This is very tough. Okay, but these are three.
These are three.
Yeah.
Ouch! Yeah, this is so unfair. Barbecue,
Correct.
sweet onion.
Correct.
There's three.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't get the third one. Which is the third one?
Sriracha chili.
Oh God!
This is 4. Have you all lost?
Seriously? Okay, let's see what happens. 4. So if I get 2 out of 3, it's
But it's 4. So now 3 out of 4.
Three
Let's
out of
up the.
जैसे मेरे को लग रहा है sweet onion इसमें भी डाली है.
Correct.
So I would say sweet onion, sriracha, either a cheese and chili spread or a cheese jalapeno spread. Yep, that's all I can get.
And there's a smoky barbecue.
Oh yeah, smoky barbecue. Actually, that's very obvious. Smoky barbecue होना चाहिए. Which is the third one?
You're right.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, cheesy jalapeno dip.
Damn, I'm good.
How would you rate your performance?
I
Very
would
honestly.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, it was a very tough. I don't think we need to add 3, 4.
3, 4.
Yeah. So now, corresponding to each, we have one question.
Okay.
And you have to answer as honestly as possible. Okay. So for the cheese and jalapeno dip, what's one boring everyday part of your business that people don't pay attention to but actually make or break your growth?
Something very boring. It is called TCPC, total calls versus productive calls. That is the DNA on which retails happen. So अगर आप एक दिन में 40 दुकानें कर रहे हो, that is not important. आपकी productive दुकानें कितनी हैं, that's a make or break thing for a retail company.
Okay. For your Veeba sandwich spread, cheese and chili, we have a question. You've taken a legacy category like sauces and added premium. What's the hardest part of changing the Indian mindset? and Indian habits, especially when it comes to purchasing a little bit higher?
So the hardest thing is to gain the mother's trust to be able to put a sauce inside your tummy,
Okay. For your sriracha chili hot sauce,
which is his
Which-
favorite, and he
yeah, it was in everything.
everything.
What's the most high stake, high pressure decision that you've taken? And if you didn't take it, it would or could have potentially killed the business.
Setting up the plant way before we could afford it. I mean, I can't tell you how difficult that decision was, and the fact that I can answer it so fast will tell you because it was Hindi में कहते हैं ना औकात से बाहर. It was way out of our औकात to put up that plant when we did, and it is by far the best decision that I ever took because when the growth happened, the plant was there.
Yeah.
If I would have honestly delayed it by even 6 months, it would have been a different story. I don't know what gave me the courage to take that decision कि यार चलो 2 एकड़ 2.5 एकड़ का प्लांट है, कल जाके 10 एकड़ का और ले लेते हैं, you know.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay. And for the sweet onion sauce,
That has to be a sweet question.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's been the sweetest moment in your journey? One where, you stopped and said, we really did this, or I can't believe we did this.
The employment generation. I mean, today we employ between 2,000 to 3,000 people, and frankly, when you go to your plant and you see the 1,000 people that are India grassroots level where jobs are actually needed, non-metro. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, if you ever meet my wife, ask her this. It really, really emotionally fills me to the brim to go there and see the employment we are generating, and it really drives me also. It is emotionally overwhelming for me to see. And even at the plants, we have a decent chunk, like for example, Veeba's HO, it's 50-50 women and men, which itself is rare for corporate India, but it is okay in metros, it does happen. But even in the plants, we try and hire women as much as possible. So it's not 50-50 obviously, but it is reached from 5-10 to almost 20%. So hiring women who, send their husbands to work and then come and work at our plant, I mean, that really, 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 I can't thank God enough to put me in a position where I'm able to do this.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a better note to end the episode.
No.
It's been so lovely and
Likewise.
fun and raw and honest. And thank you so much. And thank you for allowing us to have fun with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe where the time has gone. So
It's actually amazing. Huh?
oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And honestly, I must say this, Karishma, you're amazing. Thank you for having me. And more than that, I know today why are you this successful. So really.
Still working
amazing.
hard, and thank you so much. And I learned a lot. So
Thank you.
and I'm not starting a sauce business. Just FI.
Thank you.
Okay.
Best thing I heard all day.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.